Good evening everyone, welcome back to the Moroccan Brothers channel. Today this is going to be a little educational video, and this one we're going to be talking about notary fees in Morocco. We get this question asked all the time. How do they work? How do you pay them? How do you calculate them? How do you estimate them? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a live example of the recent property we just purchased, the one that we're in today. I'm going to tell you how much it cost us in dirhams and in pounds, and we're going to show you how we actually knew how much we was going to pay, as we always do in advance, by using a simple website. I'm going to go do a live walkthrough on our laptop here. So, I'm not going to bore you guys with the jargon of what notary fees are in Morocco or what they include, but I'll just give you a breakdown or a quick summary of what some of them include. The notary fees is not all going to the notary. So the notary fees, it's like in the UK, when you buy a property, you give the solicitor all the money for the stamp duty and obviously for legal costs and any other additional searches, etc. So the solicitor collects all the money in the escrow or the client account. It's the same thing in Morocco. So the notary, realistically, it only takes about 1% of the overall transaction. That's his fee. If you just purchased a property for 1 million dirhams, then the notary will make 10,000 dirhams. It's not that much when you think about it. But where it gets a bit costly is the other charges, such as the registration duties or registration taxes. This is basically a land registry tax for registering the deed of sale. Now, for me, this is just another tax, another scam. I think it works out to about 4%, which is ridiculous. And then you have land registry conservation fees. What does that even mean? Why can't that just be under the registration taxes? Listen, I'm all for government collecting revenue in ways they can, but I don't agree with this one at all. So this is essentially just to register the new owner in the land registry. But again, we thought that was for registration duties anyways. And then you have the VAT tax on the notary services, where you have to pay on top. So the notary's fees specifically are subject to VAT. For example, that 1% we spoke about for the notary would be 1% plus VAT. But we'll go through everything in more detail. And then you might have other administrative costs. This may include like stamp duties, fees for obtaining the cadastral, which is basically like the plan, the title plan, ownership certificates, paperwork, copies, etc. These would fall under here. These are quite reasonable. These are not anything crazy. And if you're using a mortgage, there will be mortgage or loan related charges. If you are using financing, usually the bank charges, or they deduct it from the net loan for registering the mortgage. So going into our Oliver Palm breakdown. So in this example, so the property that we purchased was 3 million dirhams. Now the amount of the loan, we actually got 100% financing on this one. It's not very common, it's not easy to get, but we have a very good broker and we've got a good relationship with the banks here. So we managed to get 100% financing. So this roughly equates to about £246,000. I use this website called CAFP. This is our broker's company. They are the biggest brokers in Morocco. They are also a French company, but they have a Moroccan subsidiary. So we use them in Marrakesh and all over as well. Very, very helpful because it has a simulator online. So if you put the property that you're looking to purchase, if you put the purchase price in here, and if you're using mortgaging, if you're getting a loan, then you can also put the amount of loan that you'll be getting. So in this case, because we got 100% financing, the loan is 3 million. You might not need 100%. You might just need to put down 10%. So in this case, if we had to put down 10%, we would have had to deduct 10% of 3 million, which is 300,000. So our amount of loan would have been 2.7 million dirhams. Once I plugged that in and I used the calculator, it actually simulated how much my notary fees were. So as you can see here, the total notary fees that we had to pay came out to around 246,475 dirhams. And this is the breakdown for all the costs associated. So as I mentioned, you have your registration fees, your land conservation, you have your application fees, 2 certificates of ownership. Well, in this case, we had our mortgage fees, which came out to around 45,000 dirhams. We had our notary fees, which, as I said, was 1%. So in this case, 30,000 dirhams plus VAT. So our total balance came to 246,475, which equates to around 20,400 pounds. Now, obviously, currency exchanges rates may differ, but at the time, this is the exchange that we got. So when we actually divide it by the total purchase price, this works out to about 8.3%. Sometimes it varies. So if you don't have a mortgage on it and you're purchasing purely in cash, you may end up being around 7.5 or even 8%. So it just depends on your financing methods. I've also included the link here. I'll put it in our description in the video below, so you can have a play with it and see how much your notary fees may come up to on any properties that you're looking to purchase. Hopefully that was a helpful video and that clears a lot of questions that you might have had on how you actually calculate it, what am I paying for, and if you want us to make another separate video on how you can pay these notary fees, on how you should transfer the money if you're paying internationally, then let us know in the comment comments below, and I'll make a separate video on how exactly we transferred the funds over without any issues. Anyways, until the next video, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.